This is Your Other Brothers podcast.
Welcome, friends, to Your Other Brothers podcast, navigating faith, homosexuality, and masculinity together. Y'all, I'm so excited to be here. My name is Tom from the Jewel of the Blue Ridge, and we are live, actually, from the Jewel of the Blue Ridge. I am not alone. I mean, I'm never alone on these shows, but I'm going to explain that in a second because I'm really not alone here tonight. Joining me from the other side of this wonderful state that I call home, from Raleigh, North Carolina, the city of Oaks, it's our other brother, Ryan. What's up, Ryan?
Hello, everyone. Not much.
Not much.
There you go.
This is
that's
run-of-the-mill,
answer to the question.
Run-of-the-mill episode. Nothing new here. From the beautiful, magnificent Mid-Best, it's our other brother, Dean. What's up, Dean?
What's up? Hi, everyone.
Dean, I'm so glad you're here. And joining us, not 5 years later from his previous podcast, it's a miracle, but coming back to us from the beautiful, enchanting land of enchantment on the other side of this great country, it's our other brother, Matt. What's up, Matt?
What up? And I still hate you, Tom.
Thank you, Matt. That's the kind of spirit I was looking for from you tonight. Y'all, this is so exciting because not only am I here, not only is Ryan here, not only is Dean here, and not only is Matt here, we also have, let me double check, 16 YOBBERS currently watching us on a live stream for our first ever live podcast being recorded and streamed into our private YOBBERS group on Facebook. Y'all, this is groundbreaking. Historic.
A much bigger crowd than we deserve.
Much bigger crowd. And we'll see. It's still the start of the night. So as the night goes on, my anticipation is that more people will sign on. You know, as they're coming back from church or the bar or the club or wherever people go on a Sunday night, you know. I'd like to think we would increase our numbers as the night goes on. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. This is a fun new experiment. I've tinkered around with the idea of live recordings in the past. And actually, back in the day, this technically isn't our first live podcast. Did y'all know that?
I did know that, actually.
Okay. I would hope that Ryan would know that at least, because Ryan was on this episode where we actually did record an episode from our very first YOBBERS retreat, which was interesting. I didn't hate it. I didn't necessarily love it, but it was just different. It's different to speak into microphones and have to like look to the right and notice 20 people there, which is not as vividly apparent here because they're just in a chat box right now. I'm looking at chats streaming in on a screen. So it's not like I can see their faces and they're like talking to each other as we're talking or anything like that. But it is a little unnerving, I must admit, but it's kind of exciting too. It's like this new influx of energy that I'm feeling right now, because I know mentally, of course, that we always have an audience, but like literally right now, they're watching and listening in the bushes. It's kind of creepy, but kind of cool.
I can't see the chat, so it's completely normal for me.
See, that's the thing. Between Dean, Ryan, and Matt, this is just another normal conversation from their end. But I have all the power. I have like the God view of this podcast where I can see what people are saying. And all I can say right now, someone stopped their rugby to watch this. They stopped their rugby to watch us talk.
Wow.
So there's that.
Nice.
That's a poor decision.
Commitment right there. I wanted to extend a huge greeting to all 16 plus of you guys watching. Thanks for taking the time out of your night to hang out with us. Enjoy the chat. And like I said in the intro, before we hit the record button, y'all comment in the chat box, ask us some questions as the hour goes on. I'll be looking at that and maybe mentioning them on the air as we talk about our favorite blogs. That is what we're talking about today. We're talking about our favorite blogs because unbeknownst to some of our listeners, Your Other Brothers is not just a podcast. Your Other Brothers is a lifestyle.
Nope.
Right.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Disagree.
Lifestyle brand, your other brothers.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
That's just dumb.
Nope.
It's it's not just a podcast. It's also a blog and it's also a community. And all of those things are merging tonight in this melting pot of joy as we talk about our favorite blogs on this podcast while our community partakes in the discussion. So if that's not like the Twix of experiences, I don't know what is.
The what?
Like Twix.
What?
Twix has like nougat and chocolate and caramel and wafer. It's like a mixture. It's a conglomeration.
That was a very odd metaphor.
Hey, I'm
It
live.
was.
I could have edited that out. I mean, I might edit that out later. But
That would be a wise decision.
Okay, we got our first comment on the chat. Thank you for making this comment because it's sure to stir some conversation. Someone said, "I wish Matt didn't hate Tom. It hurts my empathic 2 heart."
I've been empathic too, and I love that he hates him.
Yeah. I mean, that's really not going to change my mood against Tom. So sorry, not sorry.
My empathic heart goes out to the 2 who commented that. Thank you. Much love to you, my brother.
Mine doesn't.
Someone else commented, "Just more propaganda from the Yob lifestyle. .. Ugh."
Big job agenda.
That's right. We do have an agenda here. If you don't have an agenda, why even?
Oh my god. I'll destroy the Yob agenda. I'm about canceling that all day long.
So if anyone's listening to this episode, first of all, if this is your first YOBcast, if you're listening to this right now, God bless you, because I don't know. You're probably so confused right now. What is happening? What did I get into? Why did I Google what I Googled to find this? And here I am now listening to them talk live on this thing that's being streamed to a thing. And what? Who is this? To give a little context, a little background, the people watching right now are our YOBBERS, and our YOBBERS are our supporters on Patreon. And Patreon is how Yob exists 4+ years in the running. People pledge monthly to support these efforts, and it's really truly changed the game as far as how this endeavor has continued. Even just recently, we made the jump from doing 1 podcast a month to 2 a month. Because we just have more time, availability, resources to put into this. And so big shout out to all of our YOBBERS. They're the ones who are watching us right now and who will be referencing their comments throughout the episode. So big thanks to you guys. And if you're interested in supporting the effort, Your Other Brothers on Patreon, go to patreon.com/yourotherbros. All the information is over there. Quick cut to the YOBBERS group. How do y'all like being a YOBBER? Post in the comments how much you like it on a scale of 1 to, oh gosh, I'm struggling. 1 to,
Just do 10.
Wow.
1 to Matt's style. How about that? For those of you who can see Matt on the screen right now, from a scale of 1 to Matt's fashion sense, how much do you enjoy being a YOBBER? Or what's your favorite part about being a YOBBER?
You have to remember, Matt, Tom's a 4, so it can't just be 1 to 10. That's just everyone does 1 to 10.
Yeah, come on, Matt. Get with it.
No.
Okay, so while we're waiting, people are still joining the chat, by the way. We've had a couple more join since we started. So big hey to all you guys who keep joining us. Tell all your friends that we're doing this thing. Tell them to come on. Send us some chats. Because this is live, you guys, and to be clear, it's live in the moment as people are watching us, so that's live. The episode itself is not going to be completely live. Like the episode itself will be edited like any other episode. The only dynamic is that it was originally recorded live, like one of those sitcoms. Like, isn't that what they do? They like record them live and then they edit it together or something.
I think 0 people listening on Apple Podcasts right now are confused about that.
Right. 0.
But no, the reason I set that up was, have y'all been thinking today, as we've been planning this podcast and theorizing about it and preparing for it, have y'all thought about what could go wrong tonight?
I'm probably
we're
going to
live.
curse at some point. Like, just a heads up. I'm going to say a cuss word or make a really inappropriate joke. So just,
Right.
I'll apologize in advance for sensitive ears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my biggest concern, was language or obscenities, which I'm not going to say happens on a normal episode. I'm not going to say it. I can neither confirm nor deny that obscenities happen on a normal recording of an episode.
The YOBcast is lit, though.
Yeah. If I'm involved in a recording of an episode, there's usually an obscenity somewhere that gets edited out.
Yeah, agreed.
For the Yobbers listening, we do have a bonus podcast, though, called the YOBaLOGUE, where all the neglected content gets to go. Diving into the meat of this episode, we have to, at first thing, need to acknowledge our sponsor for this episode. Our sponsors are so faithful. They support Yob just like our patrons do on Patreon. They're integral to this process. And so as we're talking about our favorite blogs today, it's only fitting that our sponsor for today's episode is Blogs. Did y'all know that blog is short for weblog?
Thanks, Grandpa.
Yeah, Tom, we already knew that.
Blogs, when they heard we were talking about blogs, said, we'll support that podcast on blogs because podcasts are like the new thing. Everyone's starting a podcast. But blogs, they've been around for, I don't even know, 15 years, 20 years, something like that. They've been around for a while.
At this point, we don't care. So, well, okay, that's my opinion. So,
and they want to be relevant again. So blogs are here, and they're sponsoring our episode tonight as we talk about our favorite blogs. Thank you, blogs. I love blogs. Blogs are my favorite medium. It's my first love. I will always adore blogs.
I mean, that's how we all got started here. So, I mean,
not Ryan.
Blogs.
That's true.
Well, he's here now because of blogs.
Yeah. And Twitter.
Our blogs are the blogging journey is how we all eventually, the process got started of how we started finding each other. So I am incredibly impartial to blogs.
And we are very thankful to the Blog Association of America for their support.
The BAOA. Thank you for sponsoring this episode. We're so grateful. The Bawa.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Is that the group that Scott Bio started?
Oh yeah, it is actually. Big shout out to Scott Baio for sponsoring this episode of Your Other Brothers podcast. Yeah, y'all, we're talking about blogs today. We've done a couple, I don't want to call them casual episodes because that makes them sound meaningless. But we have done podcasts in the past where we don't have necessarily a defined topic. It's more so just a chance to hang out, shoot the breeze a little bit, maybe get some traction going on something along the way. And I feel like it's been a while. We've been due for an episode like this where we're not just talking about pornography the whole time or hookups or emotional dependency or attachment styles or what have you. So I feel like this is just an opportunity to get some diversity. We're switching things up. Obviously, we're going live, so that's a change. But we're talking about specifically our favorite blogs that we've each written. I think collectively we've written over half the blogs in this room right now. And it's pretty fun that we have so much amazing storytelling power in one room. It's like the Avengers of our community right now. I'm so grateful. But yeah, we're just going to be talking about the Your Other Brothers blog experience because a lot of people listen on the podcast and they're not really, some people aren't connected to the blog. It's my hope that for anyone listening who's never read a single blog post, which I'm sure there are plenty of them out there, that maybe what we talk about today, some of the stories we read and reference, pique your interest. And maybe you go over and peek over at our website and check out our blog. Because I was checking some stats today. We have over 300 blog posts at this point from over a dozen authors all over the world. And this is just our 59th podcast, putting that in perspective. You know, it's like we've done so many more blogs. We're definitely more people find our website more so through our blog than our podcast. And it's always good to be able to talk about our posts. Obviously, when we record our episodes, every once in a while we reference posts that we've written, and I always aim to link those in the description. So people, if they listen to a podcast and they hear about Matt talking about this or Dean talking about that or Ryan talking about that, then they can just check out the description, click the link, and read the blog for themselves. And we try to stay consistent with referencing those as we record these podcasts. So what we're going to do, we're going to go around the room, and I told the guys to pick out your favorite blog that you've written, that you would like to present, like a class presentation to the class to read for the room. And then we're just going to basically spend a few minutes talking about each one and just say our thoughts about it. We'll put it to the YOBBERS and see if they have any thoughts or any questions about it. For any new YOBBERS who have just jumped on, because we keep gaining some, I'd like you guys to, come up with any questions if you have any, specifically for certain authors, or just put general questions out there as well. And we'll try to get to those as I'm keeping my eye on 4 different screens at the moment and trying to keep up with everything. Before we get to the roundtable of getting to these blogs, which we're about to in the next 2 minutes, I wanted to give the stats on our 4 authors in the room here tonight. And I want to see if this correlates at all with the ones that we've chosen for ourselves, because we've independently chosen what we're going to read. So by the pure stats, here's the pure stats, you guys. So Your Other Brothers was born on November 30th, 2015, over 4 years ago. Like I said, over 300 blog posts have been written since then. And I wanted to read both the most viewed and the most commented posts that we've each written, and then see if that correlates with your favorite or not. Because obviously it doesn't have to, but I'd be curious to see if it does or not. So Dean, good old Dean. Dean, do you have any idea what these are anyway? I'm curious if any of y'all have any ideas what your most viewed or most commented posts are.
Most commented has to be I want to be LGBT, or I want to be LGBT follow-up. Really? The most commented is not one of those?
Actually, I wonder if I might have gone to the wrong thing to look at the comments. I know the views is accurate. I had a different one written down for most commented. So maybe my information is faulty. I'm not sure.
No. But the comments I would have thought would be I want to be LGBT. Most viewed, I would probably say that one as well, honestly. That was a very memorable blog.
Yeah,
for sure.
I know that one got a bunch of comments. I'm not sure though. I'll have to double check now because I don't have time to look at it right now because we're live. If we weren't live, then I could take 20 minutes and go back and check, but sadly. Okay, what I'll do then is I'll just read the most viewed because I know these are accurate. So Dean, your most viewed blog by far, I guess it's not even close, Dean. Your most viewed blog is from March 13th, 2017. Your blog called Real Men Don't Take Baths.
That's an amazing post.
Which is an incredible post, incredible title, great story. It's funny. It's also tragic. I mean, it's got all of the emotions you could want in a blog post. So all of these posts will be referenced in the notes, by the way, on the edited version that most of you are listening to right now. So click over to that if that title intrigues you at all. Maybe that's Dean's most favorite blog post he's ever written. We'll have to wait and see. But that's Dean's most viewed post. Matt, do you know what your most viewed post is that you've ever written?
Yeah, it's probably the gay sex hookup thing. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the one you're referencing or not. But Matt, your most viewed post was from June 7th, 2016. And it was called Looking for a Generous Guy.
Close enough.
Looking for a generous guy. Which we don't have time to explain that right now, so y'all can Google it and figure out what that means.
Don't Google it.
No. Google Your Other Brothers Looking for
Your Other Brothers. The post will be linked in the description. Y'all can watch it.
Okay, if you want to Google it, it's on your terms. I mean, you could blame Tom for that. So
okay.
And don't looking for a generous brother, because that will also get you some.
Moving along, Ryan, do you have any idea what your most viewed blog post is?
Is it, are we asking LGBT people the right questions?
No, not that one. Ryan, your most viewed post is My Battle with Male Body Image from September 18th, 2018. It was a great blog post. I love that.
That's fine with me. Yeah.
It's suitable, right? And then for me, my most viewed blog post from March 15th, 2016. It's all been downhill since 2016, apparently. But my most viewed blog post, Why I'm Afraid to Take Off My Shirt. That is far and away my most popular blog in terms of views. Again, I think the comments, I had another whole thing for comments, but I no longer trust the data. The data is scrapped. I cannot read from it. So we're going to move on. Some of our blogs have dozens upon dozens, if not 100 plus comments. And I think, Dean, your Why I Want to Be LGBT, I seem to recall that had a good number of comments.
That
possibly
had
triple digits. Yeah.
That one was easily triple digits.
Yeah.
That was a fun week for me.
Always a fun week at Your Other Brothers. Anyway, let's waste no more time, y'all. We got to keep this train moving. We're live. The coal is being shoveled into the engine. We got to keep this going. I want to go to Dean first because Dean, you had an interesting process. When I put this out to you guys to say, hey, I think it'd be cool if we just all read our favorite blog that we've ever written. Well, Dean has written like 100, close to it, right?
Yeah,
he's written a good number.
It's I checked, and for like me being the sole author, I've written I think it's like 82 blogs. Like that's just me as the author.
That's
and then
incredible.
I've been a part of a couple of the group blogs. So like close to 90 blogs are under my name, and I have more
you
coming.
are prolific. I use the word prolific unhesitatingly with you. Yeah, you're Thank so great. Also, I did put this in because someone just commented. Someone who's watching us right now found your other brothers because of my post that I just referenced, why I'm afraid to take off my shirt. So huge shout out to that person watching. I'm so glad you found us however you did. Whatever winding, zigzagging road led you to us through my phobia of taking off my shirt. I'm so honored. I'm so blessed to have you here. But let's get back to Dean. Dean, what was your process for narrowing things down to your favorite blog?
Well, in honor of March being something called March Madness, which I believe is a basketball thing, but my knowledge of sports is fantastic, in no sense of that word. So what I did was I went and I created a bracket of all of my blog posts. So literally,
oh my gosh, look at that!
Wow!
I went through, created the bracket, and then
the viewers just saw on the screen a piece of paper with brackets and pen inked onto it. It's beautiful.
And yeah, lots of it too. And it's in I wrote it obviously, so like the handwriting's terrible because my handwriting is atrocious. And so last night I had two good friends, Carver and Dave, both came over, and after Dave and I painted our nails, we did the bracket. And so I gave a 1-sentence summary of each blog, and then we discussed which one would win against each other, and they got me down to final four, and then I was going to make the decision on the final four, which was my favorite.
What were the criteria? Like, is this win in popularity, win in a fight?
It was which one is like most
better
relatable.
At basketball?
Yes, which one's better at basketball? Like which one was like, did they like more that resonated with them more? You know, the resonate, that's a big thing for us. Which one was maybe more like in tune with the blog and like really fit in with, you know, the themes and the vision of the blog. And then sometimes just for Carver, he's in a few of them, so he also kind of went for the ones that he was a part of as well. There was a little bit of bias in there on his part, but I can't blame him.
Yeah, I gotta say, Dean, you really impressed me. You never cease to amaze me, really. I mean, just to hear your dedication to this is truly inspiring.
Oh, thanks. So the way it ranks out, fourth through first of favorite blogs. Fourth favorite is I Want to Be LGBT. It lasted several rounds, but I liked it, but
too controversial.
Too controversial.
Muddled. Yeah. Too much weight on your heart.
Yeah, too much baggage there.
Too much baggage.
Number 3 is Permission to Read Our Stories, which actually after that one made it to the final four, I went back and reread it and I really liked it. So that's why it moved up to third place, because that was going to be like number 4. But Permission to Read Our Stories, great post, great story about me and my friend Henry. Definitely worth checking out. Second place was Joy After Gay Sex.
Ooh.
Which that's the story of me coming out to my best friend John, aka Andy, Tom's younger brother.
Are y'all keeping track? Do you have a flip chart at home? Yeah.
Yeah. So right. You'll need to write that out. Go back, rewind, write it out, and it'll make sense. So, but the number one favorite, the one that beat all the others,
what is it?
Real Men Don't Take Baths.
Yes! I can't believe it. I was totally joking when I asked. This could be his favorite. Wow. It's your most viewed and it's your personal favorite. That's amazing.
It is my personal favorite. I love that blog post. And honestly, the bracket was kind of to make sure that I wasn't forgetting a blog post and to make sure that I wasn't the only one. But that one just like it beat a lot of blogs, beat a lot of really good ones, and got out there and it was the number one. I I love that blog. So
Well, we would be so honored, Dean, if you would read this for us, because it's one of my favorites too. Because again, it just like it checks so many boxes, hits so many emotions, which is a mark of a great post. So
thank you.
We would love to hear it.
All right, now this is a story. So there's a character in here that talks, and so I'll kind of try to mimic, that voice as best I can. So here we go. Real men don't take baths. Dude, what do you think you're doing? His shocked tone both surprised me and didn't at the same time. I wanted to come off as curious while not sounding stupid. I simply asked, what? And watched his eyes widen even further. Dude, you took a bath, Martin exclaimed, eyes now larger than originally thought possible. How could you take a bath? The question seemed ludicrous to me. I walked a lot that day. I was tired. My legs were sore. The bath was hot. However, I knew where he was coming from. I had interacted with Martin several times before this trip. He would have not been my first choice for a roommate, or second, or third, probably fourth. He's your typical super straight guy. Nice guy, but super straight for sure. Based on my handful of conversations with him, I did deduce he would balk at the idea of taking a bath. However, rooming lists for this trip were assigned, and my other 2 roommates were awesome, so I wasn't going to complain. I had a few ways to respond to Martin. I figured my initial response for suck my beep would not go over well. I also nixed this one. Guess you better guard your loins from my gay bather then. Instead, I went with the response number 3. What's wrong with a bath? What's wrong? Martin acted like he just found out that Santa's not real. You took a bath. At this point, I couldn't even respond. I just stared at him, waiting for him to come up with a better argument than stating the obvious. After a moment, Martin shook his head and said, well, I guess I'm just going to take a man shower before bed. Yes, he said, man shower. I couldn't stand it. I lay in bed, still somehow relaxed after my soothing bath. I just shook my head and said, right, it's just a bath. We're not in the 1960s, man. Deal with it. The conversation diverted from there, thanks to our other 2 roommates. Martin trudged off to his man shower, whatever the heck that is, and I continued to feel relaxed and less sore. It makes me sad, though. This guy is genuinely a nice guy who loves God, but he's bought into a delusional sense of masculinity based more on actions than identity. He has given into the lie that men have strict do's and don'ts that will somehow contribute or detract from one's identity and masculinity. He is living a life led by outside reception and definition rather than by defining himself in Jesus Christ. And more importantly, he's living a life that doesn't allow him to enjoy a nice, soothing bath. And that, dear reader, is the most tragic part of this story. The end.
Dean, that was so good. Such a great story. I love the voices. Yeah, we can snap.
Yeah, I love that post. Like, it was fun to write. And that's not even like, the writing wasn't even an exaggeration. I wish I could say this was like, oh, me like playing. No, this was legitimate. And last night when we got to it, Carver was there. He was one of the other roommates, and he was talking about the fact that he remembered being in there and just kind of trying to figure out what on earth was wrong with Martin. But I think the reason why it still resonates with me is it just demonstrated literally an everyday reality for me. Like, for as long as I can remember, things I've done have been judged as either manly enough or not manly enough. And I've had people question me as a man or question my identity and period by things that I've done. And so this blog post was just a reminder that I still am not free of that. Like, I'm an adult and I still have people who question me all the time because of something I may or may not do. And it's just that everyday reality. And I think maybe that's why it resonates a lot. It's a humorous story, but at the same time, it just demonstrates that for us in our journey, whether we identify as LGBT or whether we identify as SSA, we still always kind of have that reality that we're not completely the same as a straight guy. And so those things happen to us all the time where people are questioning the things we do or don't do. And so it resonates because it just puts in a perfect summary what we face on a daily basis. and something that's kind of like this longing of like, why couldn't I just have taken a bath and not had to give a reason for it? It's just a bath.
But it's not, Dean. It's not just
not just bath.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you remember if Martin had any other ridiculous notions about masculinity that like stick out? Any other funny things? And do or don't do?
He on the same trip, I think it was the next day, he was talking about how he didn't know if he could ever get along with a gay man, but he could get along with a lesbian because at least they both liked women. And so, yeah, there you have it. I heard that conversation, and after the bath ordeal, I was like, I'm done. I just left the room.
Okay, so here's a question for me. Does he listen to this podcast?
Oh no! Oh,
dang it!
He does not.
Let's get him on right now.
I don't even know what he would do. He's probably like I said, he's a genuinely nice guy, but I have a feeling that if I ever came out to him, he would be the person that would go, "Oh my gosh, you've seen me without a shirt on."
Yeah, and that presents a whole nother slew of issues.
Yeah, I wanna meet this person.
I mean, come out to the Mid-Best. He's around here. I'm still friends with him.
One of these days I will.
Yes.
Quick couple comments before we keep the roundtable moving. One of our yobbers said, "My dad once tried to convince me that real men don't use body wash, which perplexed both me and my mom. Never
Which
heard
is
that
dumb
rule before." I guess you're supposed to use like just a bar of Irish Spring soap, right?
I was about to say, it's like, so if you don't use body wash, you just like water. That's it.
Yeah, soap is for women.
Sandpaper.
Yes.
Sandpaper, yeah. Someone else said, if straight dudes have worse hygiene and baths are you soaking in your own filth, shouldn't straight dudes enjoy baths?
No. Apparently with Dean's blog posts, I guess not. So they're just dumb.
The
sometimes.
shade in that comment.
The shade. We love our yobbers who throw shade. They're our favorite. Yes. Well, yeah. Dean, I was honestly, I had no idea which blog you would pick, and I'm so glad you picked that one because that's honestly one of my favorites that you've written, and so it worked out really well that it aligned with the stats, it aligned with my own heart, and I'm sure plenty of people listening now also really enjoyed that. So thank you, Dean, and we will have Dean. You'll need to send me a picture of your bracket because I'm actually really curious to see how it all funneled out. So if you send me a picture of it, I'll attach it as an image to this podcast that people can peruse for themselves.
Will do.
All right. Ryan or Matt, do one of you guys want to go next on this fun adventure?
Ryan, you go.
Okay, I'll go.
Matt will decide for you. Tell us about your process.
Well, I'll start here. Here's a little glimpse into the background workings of your other brothers. We write blog posts, and Tom, as the editor of the site, likes to decide on the titles for the blog posts because there's lots of things that go into that, like how is it going to show up in a search engine and other concerns. And so I typically don't think too hard about a title. I have to, you have to type one in WordPress, but I don't think too hard about it because I know Tom's going to handle it anyway. So for this blog post, I typed sort of a jokey title. It was shirtless pool wrestling, all caps with 3 exclamation points. And to my great surprise, Tom decided to keep that title.
I love that title.
I want to give my side of the story because Ryan's exactly right. I love my authors. We have a great team of writers, but 9 times out of 10, I will tinker with the title because of search engine optimization, keywords, general pizzazz, like to try to get people to click. That's my editor's brain moving to try to make your post the most successful post it can be. But then when Ryan submitted that draft, shirtless pool wrestling, I was thinking about it, and you know what? It's got the keyword shirtless. It's got pool wrestling. It's like playful. It's interesting. It's got some mystery to it. I was like, you know what? Maybe I could tinker with it, but maybe I was just tired that day, and I was just like, yeah, it's fine. I'll just leave it at that. Because honestly, I thought that was a great title. It was all capitals too. I don't know if you mentioned that, but it's like all capitals. Yeah,
all caps.
Yeah.
But in reality, Tom was like, okay, this sounds very erotic and basically our viewers are like a bit horny.
No.
So yeah.
No, it's just.
Let's be real, Tom. You wanted that.
No,
Clickbait.
Clickbait
It's clickbait.
for reals.
Well, it is kind of clickbait.
We have to have clickbait. That's just good business. But
that's how we get clicks.
Anyway. So Ryan, is this the one that you've settled on then? Or are you
This is the one I
teasing
settled
us?
on, yeah.
Okay, cool. It's one of my favorites from you as well.
And when I started writing for Yob, I had kind of forgotten about this experience. And then I was thinking about it one day and I thought, wait, this would make a great post on Yob. And I really wanted to write it in a very like visceral, present, sort of, I wanted the reader to feel the kind of desperation and emotion and the complicatedness of the situation I was in. And so I sort of wrote it very stream of consciousness, just started typing and I was really happy with how it turned out. I only had to like rearrange it a little bit, trimmed out some unnecessary stuff. And then it's become one of my favorite blog posts. So here we go. Nate and I wrestle in the pool, the blue of the water matching that of the deepening autumn twilight. He wraps his arms around me and all 200-something pounds of his powerful body pull me into the dusky water while our college friends look on bemusedly. I don't care what they think at this point. I'm angry, but not at Nate. I haven't let anyone know who I'm angry at. That person, Jordan, isn't even watching. He won't pay attention to me. He just wants to be alone with his guitar, picking out the same dumb John Mayer refrain over and over again. Or, rather than Jordan, am I actually more angry with myself for what I asked him and what I told him when I managed to get him alone? For asking him to write me a song. Seriously, Ryan? You asked him to write you a song? For telling him I couldn't stop thinking of him. Are you kidding me? He didn't know what to say to me. Shame stole away my breath and peripheral vision. Nate and I grapple underwater. The sounds of our struggles are distant alien echoes. Water threatens to intrude my nostrils, so I hold my top lip against them in a ridiculous, pouty, duck-faced grimace. The chlorine burns my eyes, but I keep them open even though there's not much point. All I can see is the spray of bubbles surrounding us, illuminated gold by the single underwater pool light. Nate is too close to see. At this age of 20, being angry is like throwing up. I do everything I can to avoid it, but sometimes there's nothing I can do. At first, I deny it's going to happen. I tell myself I'm just imagining the bile rising. It's all in my mind, but eventually I accept that it's going to happen. Okay, we're doing this, a voice in my head says, and it's going to suck. Then it all comes out. The chess-playing part of my brain loses control, and the base of my brain and my gut take matters into their own hands. The base of my brain, possessed by some pent-up howl of my soul, doesn't stop to wonder at or feel anxiety over this wet skin-on-skin contact with Nate. I don't wonder to myself, have I as an adult ever embraced another man shirtless like this before? This isn't that kind of intimacy. I'm only focused on not letting Nate do whatever it is he's trying to do to me, and if I get the chance, turning the tables to do it to him instead. But it's hopeless for me. He's 8 inches taller. He has broad shoulders and stretch marks where his muscles grew faster than his skin could contain upon his discovering of the university weight room. He has a brother, and they grew up wrestling. I, on the other hand, have no idea what I'm doing. The breath left in my lungs has, expiring, turned to a craving emptiness as I think about the surface with increasing urgency. I stop struggling. Nate lets me up. We're above the surface now, facing each other, catching our breath. I'm treading water away from him. Nate is tall and muscular, but I'm not attracted to Nate. He has a deeply unsexy goofiness steeped into him that one only gets from long years of marching band practice. Apologies to the band kids. He is smiling at me quizzically, trying to read me to determine what effect his surprise tackle has achieved. Did it help? Despite my anger, I laugh. A tackle is the last thing I was expecting. I tell him so. He somehow coaxed me into the pool amidst my ostensibly dark mood, and before I knew it, we were underwater. I'm still angry at Jordan. Myself, the world, God, John Mayer. But I'm also exhilarated. Wrestling with Nate has given my anger some work to do. Pouring this anger into my muscles stopped it from wrapping itself around my heart and squeezing so tightly that I felt less human and more demon. I'm taking the deep breaths I always seem to forget to take. And maybe the skin-on-skin contact has helped diffuse the anger too. Maybe Nate's body has absorbed some of it somehow. Maybe Nate's skin has soothed some primal part of me that's had so little to hold on to these long years, and what it's held has, expiring, turned into a craving emptiness, so that I've started to think of other men's bodies with increasing urgency. I launch myself to struggle against him again. Nate receives me with open arms. Again and again, we return to that weightless, wordless tumble. He lets me tackle him over and over because he can tell it's important. Even though he bests me every time, I keep at it because I can tell it's important. The sky gets darker and the air gets colder. Our friends leave us to it. Finally, it's time for dinner, so we pull ourselves out of the water. My toes and heels are raw from scrabbling for purchase on the pool's concrete bottom. My eyes and sinuses are burning from the chlorine. Water has burrowed deep into my ears, possibly permanently. But I'm much lighter. I feel thankful for Nate, who knew what I needed when I didn't, and took responsibility to give it to me. I feel like I can face the rest of this beach weekend with my other college buddies, and with Jordan. We dry ourselves off, silently, because at this point in my life, I'm not self-aware enough to recognize everything that has happened. And anyway, nobody's taught us words to talk about it. If Nate wants to know what I was so angry about, he doesn't ask. We settle for a cloud of silence, and Nate absorbs this too into his patient body. So, thank you.
Beautiful. I love the, I mean, we're a storytelling community, so I just love the different styles of storytelling present, not only in this room, but yeah, I mean, we're just such a diverse group of guys and have a diverse group of experiences, and it's cool to just hear little stories like that, snippets into y'all's journeys of how you got to who you are and what's made who you are. And so I love that story. I love that. I was reminded as you were reading that whole thing, I was like, wow, I knew there was a slight disconnect between like the enthusiasm of the title and just kind of like the gravity of the post. But now it's like hearing that, I was like, huh, interesting. It's just fun to be reminded of that. Yeah. But I love, because I bet people who clicked onto that were not maybe expecting for like, wow, this is like a hugely powerful, resonant moment for him. It's not just like, a playful romp in the pool. But man, I love it. It's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was pretty gay.
Let's be honest.
Matt, you're pretty gay.
Duh.
Well, here's the thing, though. I think one thing I was trying to convey with that, like, visceral, emotional tone was that there's so much of, at least for me, so much of my experience that's tied up in my sexuality that, you know, I can't have this, like, angry pool wrestling experience without it being involved in my sexuality somehow. And like, it's complicated, but I mean, what am I going to do about it? Like, can't, like I said in the post, like, nobody, especially at this point in my life, has taught me the words to sort all this out and to figure it out. And it is sort of like inextricably all, you know, compacted together. So, and so that's one reason I'm really proud with how it turned out. So I feel like I was able to communicate that.
I think what I love about that post so much, Ryan, is that knowing you, that is like the perfect representation of you, like in telling that story, because I can see like 20-year-old Ryan going through this and like doing the same stuff. And I think it's just like, I love it because it is almost like a peek into a very vulnerable inner core part of yourself. And just it's so well written and so well presented in that way. So like reading that post, because I don't know, when you wrote that, I don't know if how much you and I knew each other at that point, but I feel like when I read that post, I was like, I felt like I knew you so much better because of how much you opened up in the post and how well it was presented, that it was just so clear that this is you and this is who you are.
Yeah. I just love the connection between the body and the heart and the emotions and the feelings that go with the physical body. Like it's a cool conglomeration of those concepts in the pool of all places. Anyway, thank you, Ryan, for reading your favorite blog. That's awesome. I'm glad you picked that one.
Thanks.
I should also mention that was a very close second for your most viewed blog post.
Okay.
Behind your male body image blog post. It was
Yeah.
like 50 or 60 views. So y'all who are listening right now, y'all go ahead and click on that post, put it over the top, and now it can officially be Ryan's most popular post. All right. Let's go to our favorite Native American in the Land of Enchantment. Let's get his favorite blog post. I'm really excited to hear what he picked out.
Yeah. So let's go see. I was thinking about this actually just only yesterday because I forgot. And I mean, of course, everybody would think about, hey, Matt's going to choose the reason why I love sex. But no,
that's what
that's already been done. Yeah, that's already been done. We already did a podcast off of that. So that's out the window. So I'm not going to choose that. That's already done with. So too bad for you guys who thought that was going to be on my number one blog. So I actually chose, actually there's two. And both of them are recent. And I think both of them describe of what I've been dealing with for the past 2-3 years, whatever. But I had to choose one. I can't choose two. So the lucky one that I chose was I Like a Girl.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was my favorite one. The close second was I Just Want to Go Home. So that's a close second. Yeah. But we're not going to read that one. We're going to read this I Like a Girl ?
Perfect.
So here it is. Yeah. From here on out, posts like this one are the ones I don't want to write. I'm going to feel like I'm going to feel so stupid even writing this out. Do I feel shame about this post? Probably. I feel more like I'm a fake. Why? You'll understand in a little bit. Let's flash back to 3 years ago. I arrive at a pizza joint to meet some friends and one of my friend, George. And it was a summer night, and George wanted to discuss something he wanted to get off his chest. George was starting to get serious about his faith, and I, along with a few others, took it upon ourselves to discipline this guy. He was very intelligent with a hunger to know more about Jesus. He asked really good questions, even articulating some of the most of us have never considered. He knew about my sexuality, and I felt safe with his knowing I was gay. I really appreciated his questions and challenges as we became friends. George got us some pizza and drinks as we started talking about the usual stuff, God and life. As the conversation passed, we hit a point of regarding his interest in a particular girl, Annie. I gave him a weird look, mostly surprised, like what are you talking about, Willis? I knew my friend was still in the baby stages of his faith, and he was kind of like girl crazy. I asked him why he was interested in asking her out. Of course, he gave your typical straight guy answer. She's pretty, funny, intelligent, blah, blah, blah. After he explained why he liked her, George asked what I thought. As you guys might have guessed, I was pretty straight up with him. I told him that I didn't see a guy like him dating a girl like Annie. They were two totally different people with different interests, desires, and spiritual states. So I told him, he still had a long way to go before becoming a spiritual leader in dating someone like Annie. He shot back. Why do you still see me as a little kid? I have so much to offer you. Yet you guys think I'm immature. I'm more than that. I'm surprised how am I supposed to grow and become a spiritual leader if you guys are always going to treat me like a little kid? I'm not stupid. He made a good point. I'd seen him grow, and I was holding him back, treating him like a little kid when he had so much potential. But something inside me still didn't trust him, as if my conscience were telling me that he was going to sleep with her, then leave her once he got his way. I expressed my concerns. I told him that Annie was a very special woman, unlike any other woman I'd known. someone who loves God so much with an innocent about her that I didn't want him to corrupt. I was very abrasive in saying that if he did anything to her, it would be on his head. I also stated that she had been in a relationship that ended 6 months prior, adding that he gave her time to heal. I hope that was good. That was good excuse for George not to ask her out on a date. As our hangout came to a close, I told George I wouldn't view him as a little kid anymore. I thanked him for being vulnerable with me and challenging me. Though I didn't trust him that much. I knew I had to. It was the right thing to do. We left a pizza joint, and on the way to my vehicle, a thought popped into my brain. You like her. The thought stopped me in my tracks. Me? Like a girl? What? I shook it off and I went back home. Ridiculous thought. Dude, I'm gay. I never liked a girl in my life. What the heck? But as years passed, at random times, that thought popped up again and again, especially when Annie came around me or our small groups. Again and again, I'd swipe the thought out of from my brain because it just didn't make any sense. Flash forward to 3 years later. As I drove down the base of the mountain after listening to a sermon and enjoying some prayer, the thought once more popped into my head. You like Annie. I wanted to swipe away the thought again, but this time I actually considered it. It's like maybe I could like a girl. I finally arrived home, drained and ready for bed. The next day would be different. The feelings for my crazy thought would come. I wasn't about to be done with my hellhole. It was going to be next level.
Very good, Matt. Very good. Love it.
You better.
It is.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's like you said, man. It's your unusual post for you, because a lot of your posts are I think you've mentioned before. You're the person that uses exclamation points all the time in your blog post.
Yeah,
and that one is much calmer, just because it's so introspective.
Yeah, I mean,
So
right.
It's unique.
Yeah, that's definitely like one of the posts that I really didn't want to write, but I knew I had to. And even today, it's still crazy just to think about it. And I don't know, it's like a continuation of like what I'm dealing with right now, but I'm not going to talk about that. So,
yeah, I love it because I think a lot of people in our community can have a moment of wondering, like, do I like that person? Do I like that opposite sex person? ? Because I can definitely point to at least 2 or 3 women in my life that I've had that same like questioning, that self introspective, like I wonder ...
Yeah, just that I've totally been there of like overthinking, feeling like, or wondering if I'm overthinking a relationship with a girl and wondering like am I about to overthink myself into a marriage? Like what do we, I don't know, like it, I think it's hard to know sometimes how to sort through those feelings and like how seriously to take them, because we can't put ourselves in our straight friends' shoes very easily to know, like, okay, like when they kicked off their relationship with this person, did they feel like I do right now, like or is this just a, hey, that's a cool girl,
Yeah,
we had fun together that one time,
should we get married?
and I can, yeah. And I think it's funny how like that internal thought process goes from like, yeah, she's cool to maybe I should marry her, like because we've been trained in various ways to like regard each of those relationships through that lens of, is this going to head towards marriage?
For sure. Hey, yobbers who are listening, it's gone really quiet in the chat. We need to perk it up again. Please let us know if you have had that experience of pondering a lady in your life. And maybe you're married, so therefore you certainly had that pondering and you followed through on it. So I'm curious if anyone else has.
I'm sure all the Facebook viewers are just speechless from our timeless prose.
Yes.
That or they're
Yes.
just bored.
They are definitely speechless.
I'm glad Matt gave the other end of the spectrum. Either that or they've checked out. They're no longer here.
I mean, I would.
See this glass? It's half full.
Yeah. You're welcome, everybody.
Okay, y'all, let's finish this out with my favorite blog post because we gotta wind things down.
It's Tom's turn.
It's my turn. I have a lot to choose from, as well as Dean did. Not as many as Dean, but still a good number. And I've written a lot about all the things we talk about on our site: faith, sexuality, masculinity. I've tried to be really intentional. I've tried to be really intentional about dabbling in each realm. So if I feel like I haven't written about faith matters in a while, I write about faith. Or if I feel like I've not written about masculinity or sexuality, I try to go on a rotation and be somewhat balanced in the posts that I write, more consciously now than at the beginning. But anyway, when I was thinking about what my favorite ones were, I looked at all of them. I didn't do a bracket like Dean, but I did list them all out just so I could visually look at them all. And so, I swiped around a couple. I was like, okay, that's definitely not my favorite. I mean, I've enjoyed everything I've written, but there was 5 or 6 that probably jumped out in that first scan through that were, okay, let me think about it now. Which one is my favorite? And I think it was pretty obvious. It wasn't that hard. It wasn't that arduous of a process to get down to my favorite blog post that I've written, because it's such a cornerstone of my poor little Enneagram heart. I feel it so strongly as a 4. This need for a savior figure, this need for someone to rescue me from my plight. And so the post that is my favorite is I've always wanted a big brother. It is one of our most popular posts as well, very commented, very viewed. It also has an interactive component with a YouTube video, which I'm going to, when I get to it, I'm going to turn the webcam around. I won't be able to do the audio, but I just wanted to show it's a minute long, I think, of this YouTube video that I embedded in the post. And so I just want to show it to our viewing audience right now. And I'll narrate what's happening for our listening audience. And so that'll happen in the middle of the post. But here is my post from January 6th, 2016. Which, now that I'm looking at it, that was one of the first posts I wrote. Dang, because our blog started in November of 15. So this is just a month and a half later, I wrote this post. So wow, it's really been all downhill since then, hasn't it? Okay.
I'd say.
Fun times.
I'd agree. I'd agree.
Yeah, so here we go. I've always wanted a big brother. This is for all the little brothers out there listening. Here we go. Or the big brothers. Here we go. I've always wanted a big brother. In the fascinating personality model of the Enneagram, I'm a type 4, the individualist. Type 4s are generally introverted, introspective, creative, and best of all, deeply emotional. Everything profoundly affects us 4s, from sunsets to dog movies to every single word everyone has ever said to us. More than any other type, the 4 feels he is cut from a different cloth than the rest of humanity. The 4 craves a rescuer to save him from his plight. And while my spirit clings to Jesus as my ultimate rescuer, my heart can't help yearning for another, more tangible, saving one. Amid this particular arena of same-sex attraction, my type 4 self hungers for the love of another man to save me. But as I wrote previously, rarely the love of a romantic partner. For most of my life, I've wanted the love of a big brother. A couple years ago, a Christmas commercial wrecked me, the usual for a type 4. And I wrote on another blog about this big brother hole in my life. In times of uncertainty and confusion especially, these brotherly longings swirl most vigorously. I got to searching videos on YouTube the other night, and what I found wrecked me. I started following a rabbit trail of Big Brother Surprises Little Brother videos, where big, strong, active military guys opened a door or turned a corner and surprised their innocent, unaware little brothers. All the videos ruined me, but this particular reaction broke me the most. So I don't know if you can see, here's a video, and what's happening, there's a little brother, he's 10, 11, 12 years old, standing in a hallway, talking to his mom, who's videotaping him. There's a door behind him, so he's not looking at it. And then the door opens, and it's his big brother who is back from a military visit. And so then the big brother just hugs him and holds him. And there's another brother in the background, like videotaping the whole thing on his own smartphone device. But the little brother is just like arms wrapped around. The big brother just keeps holding him and rubbing his back and doesn't let go. And they're just like, they're just glued together. And I remember watching, this is my first time watching this. I intentionally didn't watch it leading up to this rereading because I have not, I guess I just wanted it to all be fresh. And then all three of the brothers hug together. And that's the end of the video. So I've watched this video probably a dozen times. It keeps drawing me back for reasons I uncovered with each subsequent viewing. The little brother's military shirt in honor of his big brother. The little brother's gasp and covering of emotions at the sight of his big brother in the shadows. The little brother's rush to fall into his big brother. The little brother's refusal to let go of his big brother. The big brother's holding of his little brother, stroking his back, kissing the top of his neck repeatedly. And the big brother holds and strokes and kisses his little brother as long as he needs him to. I find myself living vicariously through the little brother, always wanting a big brother to hold me like that, especially in times of mourning and madness. When I moved as a kid, when my dog died in college, toward the end of a continental road trip, and even now as I try to piece a new life together. I've always wanted to press into someone bigger than me, someone stronger, someone wiser, a big brother to hold me, a big brother to comfort me, a big brother to tell me everything will be okay because he's right there and he's not going to let me go. As the oldest of three kids, I'll never know the feeling of a big brother by blood, and that honestly pricks my heart. Looking back on these last 5 years, I realize many of my friendships with opposite sex attracted or OSA males have been repeated, often feeble attempts to secure the big brother I've never had yet always wanted. Obsessing over guys to the point of idolization and eventually parting ways with the older brother figure who in fact did not rescue me from my plight. And this Type 4's savior search continues. I know I've matured a lot in the last 5 years. I'm grasping more that no human can fully rescue me, that only Jesus can provide what my soul truly craves, a reason to live. Jesus has indeed rescued me from a purposeless void, filling me with these passions to write and tell my story and connect my journey with others as I go, as all of us crawl and stagger and go. I don't know that I'll ever fully lose these heartbeats of longing for that big brother figure, or if I'll ever find him. A big brother to shove me when I tell a stupid joke, a big brother to tell me to go away when I follow him around too much. But ultimately, a big brother to wrap his arms around me when I'm hurting, a big brother to guide me, a big brother to protect me, a big brother to pray over me, a big brother to stand beside, to look up to and see strength. Strength in him, strength in me. And there you have it, my favorite blog post.
I remember reading this post and watching the video back in 2016 you said?
2016.
And it made me wonder if I was an Enneagram 4 because I very strongly related to that sense of wanting the savior, rescuer, the big brother figure. Like that was just incredibly relatable to me. And I also sat and watched that video a few times and like you sort of just like notice every detail of the interaction and kind of put myself in those shoes and wondered, why don't I have that, So
yeah, I remember reading it as well because this was first 2 months of the blog. Fresh. So way different era of Yob, and how we were doing anything and everything. But I do remember reading it because I've talked about, I think it was, this actually post might have inspired me to write one of the first posts I wrote about my brothers where I talked about being abused by them. Because I saw this post and it was kind of the thing of okay, it's not just those who are the oldest brothers who didn't have that, but there were those of us who had the older brothers and the older brothers completely missed the mark. And so I resonate with that pain because that's what I've always wanted. That was the theme of a lot of my early blogs. And that was something I was still struggling with at that time, which was trying to get over my failed relationship with my own brothers and trying to reach a point where I was okay with that and I was okay with the relationships I had now. So it's a powerful post, because wherever you are, I mean, unless you've had that relationship with that older brother, you're longing for it. And if you had that relationship with that older brother, then reading that post is going to remind you of what an incredible thing you have. And so there's really not a person that it's not going to potentially resonate or impact, because it's just focusing on that core desire for a relationship with a brother, which is what brought us all together in general. And just in the beginning for Your Other Brothers was that desire for brother relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. And Dean, I remember you talking about that when, I mean, this was years ago. I mean, I guess maybe we've had conversations about it here and there in the meantime, but I remember just pondering that notion, like, what would I rather have? Would I rather be the oldest child and just don't even have a big brother, just clean slate, don't even know what that would be like? Or would I rather have had one who just was the worst? Like, just to have the concept of one that exists with that maybe however small percentage of chance of redemption, or this person turning around and becoming that person. Just like the fact that I don't have that as an option by blood, is kind of hard. Part of me wants to have the other side of it, of like having an older brother who maybe will, if he wasn't the greatest growing up, maybe he'll change one day, maybe he'll be that person in the future. But yeah, I like you laid out, I think hopefully there's something in there for everybody, unless you're a cruel, heartless person who just doesn't have feelings. Let's go to Matt. Matt, what do you think of my blog?
Well, that blog was dumb. So
Thank you.
I'm just kidding. No,
Matt, will you be my big brother? You could make.
Dude, I am your big brother.
Yeah, you could shove me around.
I'm basically
and say, Go away.
Yeah, I'm basically am your big
but
brother.
Come visit me, because I also really love you and want you to come visit me.
No. So yeah. Okay. So in all seriousness, that was actually a pretty good blog. I mean, I can't relate because I have a big brother, and he's pretty cool and everything. Of course, straight dude, married, has kids, was a quarterback for our high school and everything. Did a lot of tough love, but I needed it. And yeah, so I honestly, if it's outside of like myself, yeah, I was like, yeah, that's probably what every almost every man, person, whatever, desires, is to have like somebody who they can look up to and all that stuff. But for others who are that big brother and who have that security, is like, kudos to you. But Tom, I hope you find that big brother of yours. That way you can stop whining and all that stuff. So
again, Matt,
I know you hate it when I whine.
Matt, I think you are that big brother, just kind of based on the description, because you do constantly tell Tom to be quiet and go away. Like,
yeah. That no, although, I am the big brother.
I don't know if Matt's up for holding me like Big Brother military guy did. I don't
no.
know. We'll have to cross
well, okay. So I'll only do that if another relative of yours passes away. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I wanted to read these comments real quick because we got to go, y'all. We're over time and we got to get out of here. But we did have one guy say that he hasn't seen this post before. He's always wanted an older brother. Someone else says, I fantasized about having a big brother when I was younger, and I've long wondered if that was the genesis of my sexuality. Someone else said, I'm an only child, and I've always wanted that. So thanks, y'all, for commenting as I read that. I appreciate it. I'm glad it resonated. We also had some guys talk about one's married to a woman for 20 years, so referencing your post, Matt.
Yes.
One guy who's viewing has been married for 20 years. Someone else has been engaged to 3 women. Didn't love any of them. I only wanted to marry them because I felt the pressure from society. So some other perspectives there as far as that concept, liking a girl, ? Yeah, so there you have it, y'all. That's 4 of our most favorite posts on yourotherbrothers.com. And there's literally 300 others that you can check out as well if you just go over to yourotherbrothers.com/blog, and they're all there. And they're all separated. We have all these different categories: life stories, musings, popular posts. If you go all the way down to the bottom of our blog, if anyone hasn't been there, we have a tag cloud, and so you can click on posts about dating or posts about marriage or posts about friendship, and we have all those categorized. So we try to make it as easy as possible to find stuff that you're looking for, and hopefully it can minister to you. And yeah, like I said, if nothing else, you're not alone, and hopefully along the way you see some of Jesus in our stories as well, as that's ultimately why any of us are here, why we're doing what we're doing. So before we go, I was thinking about a benediction for tonight. I don't have one that I wrote myself, but I thought it was fitting that in the week leading up to this podcast recording that one of our readers, listeners, supporters, we've exchanged a few emails over the past year or two, I think. But he sent me this hymn just out of the blue. He decided to send me a hymn, the lyrics to a hymn. And I looked at it and I was like, you know what? That's kind of cool. That'll work for a benediction. I like the idea that God speaks into us through other people at the right times that we need it. And so I was pondering as what note we could leave on tonight. I thought this was great because I had no idea what the vibe was going to be either. It was kind of hard to come up with like a benediction. I was like, I don't even know what's the theme. Like, what are we talking about tonight? And the goal was just being real about our stories and the Lord being in our stories in some way, some capacity. And so this is a hymn from William Cowper. Any Cowperites out there? He wrote this hymn called "God Moves in a Mysterious Way." This goes all the way back to 1773. And that super inspires me whenever I start to think about the longevity of this thing that I'm doing, this Jesus following journey that I'm on. The fact that somebody wrote a hymn about God and about how mysterious he is in 1773 is just super cool to me. And obviously there are plenty of other hymns and other things that go further back than that. But I just wanted to go out on this note, and then we'll close it out after I read this. But I guess you could say, and so my brothers. God moves in a mysterious way, his wonders to perform. He plants his footsteps in the sea and rides upon the storm. Deep in unfathomable minds of never-failing skill, he treasures up his bright designs and works his sovereign will. Ye fearful saints, fresh courage take. The clouds ye so much dread are big with mercy and shall break in blessings on your head. Judge not the Lord by feeble sense, but trust him for his grace. Behind a frowning providence, he hides a smiling face. His purposes will ripen fast, unfolding every hour. The bud may have a bitter taste, but sweet will be the flower. Blind unbelief is sure to err and scan his work in vain. God is his own interpreter, and he will make it plain. So for anyone out there struggling in relationships with others, struggling in relationship with the Lord, I just trust that that can be a blessing to you, that you would lean into the mystery of the Lord tonight and as we go from this place. Because I firmly believe he's organizing us together to minister to one another and to ultimately point one another to him as we all go along in this Jesus journey together. And I'm so grateful for 3 guys who showed up here tonight. We go back many years. Dean and Matt, we go back like a decade at least. And Ryan, a few years now. We're starting to build a resume.
Few years,
well.
a little
years,
bit.
yeah. So we're starting to gain some traction there too. So I appreciate y'all coming on and sharing your stories tonight. It's always just amazing and beautiful to hear your heart. And I'm grateful for you guys.
Thank you. Grateful for you too.
Before we go, I want to hear from all you guys listening, both live and the edited version of this podcast. What are your favorite blogs that we've written? I'm curious to hear if one of the ones that we wrote is one that you already had in mind as something that you read, or if there's another post that maybe that led you to Yob, something else that jumps out at you. I'd love to hear just like anyone's favorite post, not only from the people here, but any of our other authors as well. If there's a favorite post out there, go ahead and post it in the comments on yourotherbrothers.com/podcast. Find the episode 59 post, which will be a thing by the time this is released. Find our episode 59 post about our favorite blogs and tell us your favorite blog. I'd love to see a collection of what stories have really meant a lot to you guys over 4+ years now. Man, that's crazy. And so as we wind down, again, huge thanks to our sponsor for this episode, Blogs.
All of them.
Oh my gosh.
All of them.
They all chipped in a minuscule fraction of a cent.
It made this whole thing happen.
Yeah.
And I'm just eternally grateful. Yeah. So y'all have the mission. Tell us your favorite blogs at yourotherbrothers.com/podcast and tell us if you enjoyed this episode. I guess that's another thing we should put out there. If you enjoyed this episode, maybe we'll do it again sometime.
If you didn't enjoy this episode, don't tell us.
I was going to say, maybe just keep that to yourself.
No, tell us. No. I want to
Send
hear
your
it.
emails to Matt at yourotherbrothers.com.
No, don't. No, just put it in the comments. I want to see the comments and just read them. And I know I would enjoy like all the dislikes, even if you don't like me, because I don't care.
Matt feeds off of your
I do.
hatred.
I'm a Sith.
Because he's an Enneagram 8.
Yes.
He's that.
We'd love
8.
to hear your least favorite blog post
Please.
of Matt.
Please.
Oh.
Yes.
Actually,
I'm down for that.
I probably would enjoy a discussion. Maybe the next live one is our least favorite post.
That's a good sequel idea. I kind of like that.
Because I know
Let's hold on to that.
I know, Tom, you said that you love every post that you've done. I know I've looked back on posts and been like, why did I write that? That's awful.
Same.
So
Same.
Oh, yeah. All right, maybe we'll be back in 6 months to talk about our least favorite blogs. Let's let that ruminate for a bit.
I love all my blog posts equally.
Lies.
They're so precious.
You're so lame, Ryan.
Already. That Big Brother energy is feeding off. All right, y'all. That's it. That's going to do it for tonight. Thanks to all of our yobbers listening. I asked to give a sincere thanks to them. You guys made this episode fun and enjoyable as I was keeping up with comments as best I could. Thanks for watching. We had, upwards of 15 to 20 checking in throughout the episode. So really cool to have you guys along for the ride. I appreciate y'all's support. For all your other brothers, my name is Tom.
This is Ryan.
This is Dean. Hugs and kisses.
This is Matt's, and I hope Tom gets punched in the face soon.
Reminding you that you are not alone. Even the sparrow finds a home. See you next time, everybody, where we will not be live.
Bye, everyone.
Laters.
Laters.
Thanks for listening to Your Other Brothers podcast. Navigate more with us at yourotherbrothers.com and comment on this episode at yourotherbrothers.com/podcast. Subscribe to our show to never miss an episode. And if you enjoy what we do, consider rating and reviewing us on iTunes. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Your Other Bros. If you'd like to further support our storytelling effort, consider becoming a Yobber. Yobbers pledge monthly and receive perks like calls with authors and other supporters, access to a secret Facebook group, and additional podcast content. Visit patreon.com/yourotherbros for more information. Don't miss our monthly bonus podcast on Patreon, the YOBaLOGUE, featuring responses to previous podcasts, content not featured in public episodes, calls from listeners, and more. Ask us a question or tell us a story by leaving us a message at 706-389-8009. If you're new to the show, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us at podcast@yourotherbrothers.com. You can also write us at Your Other Brothers, P.O. Box 843, Asheville, North Carolina 28802. Until we journey next time, we're glad you're with us.